The data collection model for the Wild Boar Data Model has to be structured by following the general instructions provided on the website in the PDF document, and also by following the indications found in each of the models. Where there is a sheet with technical instructions that will allow you to better understand how to fill in the data. The structure of the model is divided into different sheets where you can see the metadata and the data questionnaires, which is where you have to enter your information. The rest of the sheets are complementary and help you to understand the meaning of some variables, or are responsible for feeding the drop-down menus. The metadata sheet is common to all three data collection models. However, the data are different depending on whether we use a hunting bag model, a distribution model, or a density model. It is possible to have data of different types, and for this reason, 3 standard models have been created. Although our data could be used to fill in more than one standard model, we recommend filling in only one of these models for each type of data we have, always trying to make it the most informative. The structure of the form may seem complex, as we have tried to meet the needs of different regions and countries in Europe. But not all fields are mandatory, so you will have to adapt the form to the specific needs of your data. Depending on the type of data model you select, you will have a series of similar categories. Such as categories regarding identification, data origin, geographical location, time window, or measures of distribution and/or abundance, as well as notes or observations that may be useful to clarify some data. Below, we have a row with the name of the variables and another row with their definitions, and a few examples that may be useful to help you fill in the model with your own data. It is also important to note that in rows 2 and 3, there are a series of indications that allow us to discover whether our data are mandatory or whether they depend on another variable. If these mandatory variables are not completed, the data may be rejected, or the data provider may be required to correct them. The metadata sheet collects information related to the person or institution providing the data, the source from which the data originated, and the spatial and temporal coverage of the data. In the first column, we have the code of the variable. In the second column is the definition of the variable. In addition, there are a number of examples that may be useful to help you complete the form. There are different types of cells in different colors to indicate the different types of variables. In the clear cells, you can fill in free text. In this case, the person's name may be Luis. In the case of the darker cells, however, you are obliged to select from a list of closed options. In this case, you cannot incorporate or enter a variable other than one of the options provided. In the case of the role of the person providing the data, it is necessary to indicate whether he or she is an author, the owner, a researcher, a user, or something else. You have to select one of these options. If you have any doubts about how each of these categories is defined, you can go to the metadata value sheet. This sheet shows the list of each of these closed variables and their definition, so you can read it and see which one best suits your needs. Once the metadata sheet has been filled in, the data sheet must now be filled in. But it is important to note that if the metadata information varies for any reason, then a different data file has to be filled in for each of the data sources with different metadata. You cannot use the same file.